Hey, it's Ralph. Welcome to this week's update on my VR game. As you might have noticed, I did not post an update last week, and the main reason for that was that I thought I had not enough footage to show. And this week, I think I do have something more to show, and let's get right into that. So, the first thing I did since the last update was I worked much more on the visuals, and at the moment, I feel much more like working on the visuals. That will probably change in the future. Obviously, I will have to work more on the programming side of things. But for now, I'm just following the intuition of what I'm enjoying the most at the moment. And this is definitely going to change all the time. And some days I do want to do programming, and other days I don't feel like it. And now I'm in a phase of wanting to find the right visuals and the right sounds. And we will see how that develops over the course of the next couple of weeks. One of the first changes I did to the visuals was changing completely to Realtime GI, which makes the indirect light much more flexible for me, especially in a game where the visuals and the audio change. I think it's much more important to have that flexibility. Another change to the visuals is also the contrast of the level. There's now more areas that are dark and get lit up as soon as you enter them. And you really feel like the design or the visuals is now less complex on the eyes, and you're not getting too overwhelmed. And that makes it also much more easy to learn about the environment for the player. And there's a great YouTube video on this topic. I can link it in the description. And yeah, that was kind of the main philosophy of changing it. So not all of the areas are entirely lit all the time. Another way I changed the contrast was to make the animation of the circuits not lit all the time. Now it's so that the entire circuit is only lit in the vicinity of the disk. And if the disk gets away, and then you don't see the walls having the animation anymore. In my last update about the game, I said that I had some struggles with the visuals, and I feel now that I'm back on a track where I know where I want to go. I want to experiment much more, and that's definitely what I did for the last 2 weeks. And one of these ways of experimenting was for me to try out different stuff in Blender. I now figured out that I want to have the outside environment much more complex than the inside environment, and this is definitely possible if you render out some cube map skyboxes from Blender, so it doesn't take up too much polygons, and it really helps with the scale of the game. It gives the player the idea that the world is much bigger than what he sees in front of him, and I think it's also interesting thematically, because I want to explore the idea of the environment being much more organic and the inside structures being man-made and more rectangular and structure. And the more you get outside, the more chaos you encounter. And I think with rendering out these complex, abstract equirectangular skyboxes enables me to make this much more complex and interesting, and I will definitely experiment more with that. Another idea I had this week was that I can do much more experimentation with the mechanics of the game. Before, I thought I want to do a bit more stuff you can't do in real life. I mean, obviously you can teleport in real life. There's already a thing that is unique to VR, but I want to expand a bit more on this kind of impossible actions and impossible geometries. And yeah, that is something I want to explore more. And one idea I had this week, and I tried it out immediately, was that when you teleport to the next location, you don't really teleport where you think you're going to teleport, but you teleport to an entirely different location. And the disk is also getting teleported, and everything kind of remains the same, except for the outside environment, which changes. And I think that is a really funny thing to explore and to make the player probably maybe confused a bit. But I think I'm going to experiment more with this idea of confusing the player a bit. Obviously, I don't have to overdo this, and we will see how that whole mechanic kind of works out over the next week. Another insight I had this week is that the game now is getting quite complex already for me. And at the beginning, I wanted to do a small, quick game in 3 months, and now it's already more than 3 months or 2 months that I work on this game. And I'm aware that, this is a problem many developers face. They think, I'm making the small game, and then it turns out to be something much more complex than you anticipated in the beginning. And yeah, I'm looking at games like arcade games like Space Pirate Train or something like that. And they don't have a lot of level design and stuff like that. They are really simple games, and they can be fun games. And yeah, I'm thinking like maybe I should have done something like this and not something that has levels and lots of places to explore. But I'm also happy with that. Also, yeah. But sometimes I'm thinking like maybe I should do a small game at the weekend and try out some other small stuff, because waiting for releasing the game is also always the hardest part. You want to get stuff out, but on the other hand, what is speaking against this kind of notion is that if you throw out your game as fast as possible, you might make something that is not good. And a good game does take time, and you can't do a really good game in a weekend usually. And also, my opinion is probably that most people don't want small arcade games. They want something much more rich in experience. They want some story, some places to explore. And so I'm probably on the right track there. So yeah, that's it for this week. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I hope you enjoyed this update. There will be more updates coming in the next weeks, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. And if you like this channel, if you like this video, please subscribe. It helps me a lot. And see you next week then. Bye bye.